Thank you. Thank you.
On tonight's show, we are joined by 3 aspiring student teachers. We will be discussing the occupational hazards of joining the teaching workforce. Will our debate on stress change the opinions of these 3 individuals? So, what are those opinions?
From placements, I have already experienced a lot of stress, but most of this is due to having all our paperwork scrutinised every lesson, when in real life this would only occur if Ofsted would come in, so maybe teaching isn't that bad.
As a student teacher, I think that placements are stressful because we're working with unfamiliar children. However, when we become NQT, we will have our own class, and I feel planning will become easier and more efficient.
My view is that I do not think placement will be stressful, as it's a more practical, hands-on approach and something I'm looking forward to. I do not think it will be stressful as the academic work that is required at university.
Although you may think your work life will subside when you qualify, it may in fact increase. One survey highlighted that 88% of the education workforce suffers stress, 72% anxiety and 45% depression. 89% of this group blame excessive workload for their ill health.
The effects of such a demanding workload can be detrimental to education. As a whole, we have already experienced a large decline in NQTs joining the occupation. 40% of young teachers are abandoning the classroom in their first 5 years, and a recent survey has revealed that some teachers are working up to 60 hours per week and beyond, resulting in morale at an all-time low.
When considering the work of Maslow in regards to his hierarchy of needs, the attrition of NQTs from the profession could be explained. His work theorised that in order for an individual to reach their full potential, they must first meet their physiological needs. When you refer to the diagram and consider the impact stress can have on the teacher, you will notice it can prevent needs being met at a number of stages. Physiologically, stress can cause a lack of sleep and appetite. Safety, stress can make you insecure. Belongingness, stress can cause you to lose touch with your friends and family. Esteem, stress can affect your performance, confidence and achievement. Therefore, self-actualisation may struggle to be met.
However, some still insist that it is an excellent profession to go into, stating that teachers are receiving increased pay, reduced workload, and they have long holidays.
It is true that teaching possesses many benefits when you join, and you know it's not a 9 to 5 position. However, the intense workload is extremely stressful for new and existing teachers.
In spite of this, teaching is now rated as one of the most stressful occupations in the country, with teachers reporting long periods off work with complaints of depression and breakdowns. But how is teacher stress affecting our schools?
The results from the health survey earlier show how poor mental health at work is destroying the quality of teaching. Figures from the insurance company Absence Protection Limited showed that stress accounts for more than double the number of days taken off work than illness such as colds or viruses. They have found stress is the single biggest reason for days taken off by members of staff. More than half of its 1,800 clients made stress-related claims last year. How can teachers be expected to focus on raising education standards when they are suffering as a result of unsustainable workload and poor support from their superiors?
I would also like to point out the impact teacher stress may also have on the child. Bandura's theory of social learning highlights the impact of observational learning. In his experiment on the Bobo doll, he measured the model behaviour that children imitated from the video they were exposed to. He found many children did imitate the behaviours. This can be extrapolated in relation to stress. If a child observes their teacher being stressed, they may have influenced behaviours.
This is worrying as high levels of stress in early childhood have been linked to impaired behavioural and emotional development, as well as numerous health consequences later in life, including high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, obesity and diabetes. Such illnesses cost our society in many ways. Just like teachers, this can hinder the children meeting the basic needs as shown in Maslow's hierarchy here, preventing them reaching their full potential.
At present, 3 children per average classroom have a diagnosable mental health problem, with many more struggling with undiagnosed conditions such as anxiety. To improve the mental health of young people, we should first improve it in teachers.
Interesting. So what are you student teachers doing right now?
From listening to this information, I'm beginning to feel nervous to become a qualified teacher. On practice placements, I already get overstressed and anxious, and I'm often planning till the early hours of the morning. I can cope with this short term, but I'm questioning it long term.
Well, I'm beginning to think it isn't going to get easier when we become NQTs. These statistics and theories have stand back many years and don't seem to have an answer yet. I thought having your own class would be less stressful, however, it sounds like it never gets easier.
Teachers seem to be under a lot of stress, but hopefully as an NQT I can bring a sense of relief and a fresh start all around to help the school community.
In relation to your change in views, we at the Department of Education believe issues regarding stress due to workload have been addressed in the Workload Challenge document. We found that unnecessary, often clerical work is a strong contributor to increased workload and ultimately stress. Our response to this is to limit the amount of menial tasks teachers must do, freeing some of their time and workload.
I agree, we do not want our children to be taught by teachers who are too tired, too stressed or too anxious to do the job well.
I disagree. I believe it's the endless stream of government initiatives, targets and Ofsted monitoring which increases our stress. Though as teachers we prevail, as our passion to teach pushes us to excel in everything that is thrown our way. And although our need to succeed for the children motivates us, we often work ourselves into a state of exhaustion where we are too stressed to benefit the children anymore. From my personal experience teaching, I have suffered from sleepless nights and low confidence as a result of an extensive workload. This added unwanted stress on my body, and then in comparison to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, my physiological and esteem needs were not met. Meaning therefore I was unable to gain self-actualisation. If I'm unable to teach to what I know is my full potential, how can I expect the same of my children and encourage progression throughout? Due to all the pressure, it resulted in me being off work with stress for 3 months.
Well, them feelings that have been described are similar to those clarified in Rosenberger's burnout concept. Burnout syndrome is a continuous development through exhaustion and stress due to workload, and this leads to the individual becoming physically ill and unable to carry on with their work.
Although many teachers express the impact that stress has on them and their career, the data gathered fails to take into account other factors such as lack of support, family life and a history of mental health, which would equally impact Maslow's hierarchy and still bring stress-related
Unfortunately, we are reaching the end of tonight's show. I would like to take the opportunity to thank everybody that has given up his or her time today to provide some insight on this issue. Just before we leave, I want to give the NQTs the opportunity to reflect for one last time on the information they have heard today. Now what has changed in your opinion?
After everything I've heard today, I know that although I still want to be a teacher, I don't think I will pursue it straight away. From experience, the intense stress education has already placed on me. I think I may need a break to relax and formulate my next move, especially considering the increased stress that occupation possesses.
Reflecting on the information gathered today, it's resulted in me not knowing what I want to do at the end of university. The stress and uncertainty that teachers have shown have not had a positive influence on my idea of teaching.
Listening to all the information given has raised some major concerns for me. However, teaching is a profession I have wanted to enter for a long time. Having worked with children previously and experienced in placements, I'm hoping to come up with a method that works for myself to control my stress levels and get the best out of my pupils.
Thank you very much for coming, and there's been some very interesting points there. But despite the numerous concerns raised by those within the profession, the government seems blind to the issue, or perhaps in denial. Commenting on the findings from the survey, School Minister Nick Gibbs said, teaching still remained a hugely popular profession, with record numbers still joining today. Once again, thank you for watching, and good night. Thank you.